Yo, welcome back to A Shot of Rose. Up this week, we talk about Young Thug, a woman who wants to be the new Kevin Samuels, and cops keep infringing on people's rights. Let's get it. Yo, what's good, man? Welcome back. Appreciate everyone tuning in again. If this is your third time, shout out to you. If this is your first time, again, shout out to you. Thank you to everyone that's tuning in each week. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you for the feedback. Also, this week I shot my first ever vlog, so that's also on the YouTube page. If you could do me a favor, go ahead, peep that as well. It was actually kind of dope, man. As I try to get out of my comfort zone, as I try to be more of a content creator, think about, saying things that I want to bring to the YouTube, things that I want to do to grow my brand. My homie reached out to me, said, yo, man, you got to try vlogging. That shit is dope. People like shit like that. So I gave it my best shot. I actually really enjoyed it. It was dope getting out and filming, talking to people, really getting to a feel of how creating content and how to do things like that. And it was just unique. It was just something new, something that the Rose that you know today probably would have never thought about doing 5 years ago, but I'm a different person. I'm trying to grow, trying to be better. And so ultimately I had a lot of fun, man. And shout out to my sis for coming with me. She's the realest. So if you want to peep that, it's called The Quest for Baby Formula. Because if you don't know, baby formula is a shortage right now. And guess who's got a newborn? Your boy right here. Also, if you could do me a favor, go ahead, click that subscribe button. Also like the video. And if you can, turn on those notifications so you can get an update every single week. Let's go ahead and get into some updates here, man. So this camera that I'm recording on right now, I will be returning this shit because although it is dope, it is actually not that good for vlogging, man. It is actually really terrible at that shit. So unfortunately, that shit's gonna have to go back. My new camera does come in tomorrow because of expedited shipping. Your boy ain't got nothing to worry about. All things come in on time. What else is going on with your boy? My baby is now up to almost drinking 6 ounces from 4. She couldn't have picked the worst time to start doing that shit. So, but shout out to my little baby, Talia. She's definitely growing. And so that's all your boy can be happy about. Man, what's going on with the world, man? We got a baby formula shortage, rising inflation, food prices are at the highest they've ever been, along with gas prices. And on top of that, you know what I'm saying? ERCOT just recently in Texas wanted us to upgrade raise our heat to 78 degrees because the grid might possibly go down again. I don't know when governing bodies are going to start actually doing a goddamn job. You know what I'm saying? One would hope that you vote these elected officials. One would hope that they would eventually do what the hell you elected them for. You know what I'm saying? And so we were promised that the grid was going to get fixed a couple of winters ago. We're back in the same situation again where we may potentially have an issue here. So it is what it is, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it though. So up first, we're just gonna go ahead and roll right into it. So this young lady, I seen it on TikTok and I was like, you know what? We're back to the same thing again where we got so many people trying to give their opinion, and it's nothing wrong with giving your opinion, but the problem is it's just so many people out here with goofy shit that they're putting on the internet that is like, yo man, when we gonna get some realism? And to a certain extent that's really the issue, right? Like everybody wants to feel like they're giving like a real take, like they're giving an honest take, but to be honest with you, your take is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's roll right into it and let's get this thing popping.
If you're boring and nice as a man, don't date. Okay? If you are a boring, nice man, do not date. And don't let a woman find out that you're willing to spend money. Okay? Don't date. You're boring, you're nice, and you're not shy with the credit card. You're going to get used, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally, but you're going to get used. Okay? She's either going to come to the conclusion and say, all right, he's too nice.
All right, so I kind of feel like she's projecting here, okay? Because again, like how would you know that? You know what I'm saying? And so we get back to these things again where as a man, you don't know what to be, right? Like when it comes to dating, like there's too many rules now. There's too many parameters and things that like you have to like navigate in order to date people now. Like I come from a very straightforward shit is what it is, and you date and you feel how you vibe with the person. And I mean, really, that's all to it. At the end of the day, you're trying to figure out whether or not I vibe with this person on a level where I see a future with them. But every time I hop on one of these goddamn apps, it's somebody spitting some bullshit about dating that is just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Now, to her credit, right? Because your boy always sees every side of the coin. It is, you can say that, you know, you can be a little too nice at times, but I don't really think it's about being nice. I think it's about being taken advantage of, right? Because to a certain extent, you got to have a certain level of emotional intelligence, and that can be hard to measure and hard to navigate because, and you know, is emotional intelligence a thing? Because I think I might have just came up with that. Somebody in the comment section, let me know if that's already a thing or if I just came up with it. I might have heard it somewhere, but either way. So I feel like there are times where you have to look at your situation and you have to recognize that you're being taken advantage of. And people my age, my homies, my boys, we call them suckers, simps, whatever you want to call it, right? Like none of that, right? If you out with someone, you can tell the vibe, you can tell how the person is feeling you, you can tell all of that shit, right? So if I'm out with a shawty, you know, not anymore because I'm married, obviously, but if I'm out with a shawty or back in the day, right, and like I feel like, yo, she hitting me with one-liners, she ain't really conversating with me, that's it. I have no reason to ever go back out with her again. If I was dating now and the only time she ever hit me up is when she want to go eat, when, you know what I'm saying, she need like nails done or some shit, why would I keep talking to this person? You know what I'm saying? That's why when they're all like, that's why what she's saying boring and nice, I mean, like ultimately what she describing is a sucker. But my issue's with the boring part because I consider myself a boring individual. I don't really go out much, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. Folks don't know how to act. They be doing the most. I really ain't got time for that shit. You know what I'm saying? Also, I got a family. I love them. They love me. We be at the house kicking it. My wife is my best friend. I ain't really got much reason to be up out of the crib. When we do go out, I go out with her. You know what I'm saying? I got homies, all got cribs. We get together, we barbecue, we live it up. They all super dope. So when I go out, I'm always with homies and friends. And like, I'm just saying this idea of like, that you have to, that you have to be somebody you're not is, just so that way, you know what I'm saying, you can find a connection with someone. I just don't subscribe to that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, again, we have these people who are hopping on the internet, giving these takes, giving their opinions on things. And albeit to a certain extent, she's sort of kind of hitting the nail on the head. Like, yeah, don't be a simp. Don't be all this shit. But you can absolutely be nice to a woman, bro. You can absolutely treat a woman well because, again, it's real women out here that's looking for a nice brother, that's looking for a real nigga, that's looking for somebody who's going to take care of them, that's going to be there for them. And it's absolutely going to be the kind of guy that they're searching for. If that person isn't appreciative of that or isn't reciprocating you with the same energy, then you have no reason to even continue messing with that person anymore. And she's basically describing someone who wouldn't be deserving of the energy in which you would be given. But let's keep going.
But he's boring. I'm not feeling it. Maybe we should go our separate ways. Or she's going to turn around and say, well, damn, he going to tell me yes anyway. I might as well keep it coming.
Now, see, what she described in the first part is a real one, right? Hey, yo, here's the thing. I ain't really feeling this guy. I'm going to go ahead and keep it pushing. Go ahead and kick it with somebody else. That's cool, right? Because that's the reason why you date. You go out, you figure out, if you vibing with that person, you're not keeping going. Now she's describing a gold digger. And we just gonna call it what it is.
Gonna go one of two ways. All right. You'll have the genuine woman that really cares about your well-being, or you'll have the woman that's just gonna use you because you're freaking nice and boring. She's going to end up being with a man who's not boring. He might not be nice, but she's gonna be like off on the side, probably doing her own thing. With that being said, okay, it is absolutely not a guarantee that she's gonna have a better experience with the guy who might not be boring but also not nice. It's just to say, don't be surprised if your girl, you find out she's been, doing a little extracurricular activities with another man, and you be like, wait, what? I never saw that coming. Like, that's not for you. You're too good for him. Well, yeah, I know I'm too good for him, but he's not boring. So,
oh, man, head scratcher. Again, so I wonder how much age plays into this, right? Because as you get older, you really deal with bullshit less, right? So when you're younger, you're probably more likely to be suckered, especially like as a man, even as a woman, right? Because women go through things when they're younger, men as well, right? Like you go through situations and relationships that as you get older, like you just want peace. You just want stability. It's certain things that you now are more important than the shiny things, right? As I talked about in my last episode, I just subscribe to a lot of what Kevin Samuel said, because I think that as we transition into a more progressive world, men are starting to look at things much more differently. Same thing goes for this right here. She's talking about things that I believe people do when they're like under the age of 30. Like, I don't believe that people over the age of 30 still think like this. You know what I'm saying? Because again, why waste somebody's time, right? What's the point of, and I get it. Like, okay, of course, I guess you could take care of some, I guess you can, consider like, well, if he gonna pay for it anyway and just be, a sucker, then I might as well just go ahead and take advantage of him. Okay, cool. You can subscribe to that. But again, I believe in universal energy. Nothing really good comes from that. But it's like, why is it that the only way for again, what she's saying is what they used to say back in the day, like, why do women only choose bad boys? You know what I'm saying? In a certain extent, right? But she's saying not boring. And she's saying that she's even admitting that she's probably not going to have a better experience with this guy, but he won't be boring. Listen, man, just find somebody you vibe with. Like, it doesn't really seem like it needs to be complicated, or like you have to have like all these rules and these parameters and different things like that. You as a person, as a man, putting it on the forefront, as a man, you take a woman out, if she rocking with you, you can feel it. If she's not, you feel it. Like, either way, you know what's going on. All this extraness really ain't necessary. But let's finish this goofiness out.
As I said, it's either going to be intentional or unintentional, but it's likely going to happen. So if you are boring and nice, please find a hobby, but don't date.
Okay. All right. So here we are again, man. It's just that I don't understand for the life of me why this shit keeps happening. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. It's so many people out here constantly giving their take on things, right? And I'm one of them, right? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to me for, being a person on the internet giving their opinion. But I'm just so tired of seeing shit like this, right? Like, again, like, why are you, like, you want to be the next person to be an internet sensation or say something that's going to captivate people. But honestly, what you spitting is bullshit, because in reality, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess you can be a truth teller, because that's who Kevin Samuels was. He was just a person who was giving hard truths. But honestly, most people don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people you hang around think like that. So you should watch your inner circle. You know what I'm saying? Like, people like this are never good people. So in which case, a lot of times people are projecting who they are or who's the type of people that they know, or they're now dealing with a personal situation. I know someone who's either doing that to someone, and they're just on a camera on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, giving an opinion on something that doesn't have anything to do with bringing positivity into the world. And ultimately, that's my issue, right? Like, I get it. Sometimes you got to have tough conversations. You got to let people know certain things. But when you take a direction of saying, yo, if you boring and you nice, saying don't date, like, what kind of goofy shit is that? I'm a boring person, right? But I'm also not a sucker. So what she should be saying is if you ain't got enough emotional intelligence, or if you ain't got enough common sense to know when you being played, then you probably shouldn't be dating. You know what I'm saying? And maybe ultimately that's really what she's trying to say. But again, she's going about it the right way. You can absolutely get out here. You can find a real one, but you should be able to tell, you know what I'm saying? And that comes with an emotional maturity and all types of shit. But again, I'm just ready for people to get on the internet, start having open dialogues, start having conversations about things that are important, but not bringing them about in goofy ways. Like, it was a much better way to bring up this conversation and really talk about it without being all like, yo, if you boring and you got money, don't date. That shit really don't make no sense, man, because it's somebody out there that will absolutely love that motherfucker. Man, it's also somebody out there that will take advantage of that motherfucker. But you just got to figure out, you know what I'm saying, on your own, the type of person you're dealing with. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's really what life is all about. Life is all about finding those connections and making them. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get into this next one here real quick. So I told myself when I got my platform, you know what I'm saying, that I would address things that, like, I've always talked about, that's always hit home with me. And one of them has always been policing in America. And recently there was a situation with the Delaware, I think, State University, HBCU lacrosse team that, you know, we're going to talk about here. I'm going to play this video, and then we'll discuss it and we'll have a dialogue and talk about it. And so that way I can give my opinion on this and tell you what I think about policing in America and things that we can do to start having these conversations so that way people can better understand what we're talking about. All right, here we go.
Out a newly released body cam video showing deputies in Georgia searching items aboard the team bus for Delaware State University's lacrosse team. The sheriff said his deputies were in the right when they stopped and searched the bus, but Delaware's attorney general is now calling for a federal investigation. It's amid allegations of racial profiling. NBC 10's Delaware reporter Tim Furlong has the latest.
Ladies, we don't single anybody out, and I'll explain. This is our job. This is what we do.
Liberty County, Georgia sheriff's deputies might not have been able to know what the passengers on the bus looked like when they pulled the driver over for illegally using the left lane, but the predominantly black team members are pretty sure the stop lasted longer and their bags were more thoroughly searched because they were black. And they're pretty sure that's why the deputies talked down at them and suggested they knew they had drugs in their bags.
If there is something in there that is questionable, please tell me now, because if we find it, guess what? We're not going to be able to help you.
The county sheriff is African American and says the stop was legit because he says a police canine somehow smelled something outside the bus along the busy piece of I-95. One of the deputies said this on the radio before anything was even searched.
There's a bunch of dang schoolgirls on the bus and probably some weed, maybe.
That search was extensive and deputies found nothing illegal.
The Pennsylvania State Supreme Court said that you have to have two things. You have to have probable cause and you have to have exigent circumstances.
NBC 10 legal analyst Enrique L1 Latoyson says in PA that search probably wouldn't have happened. Police need more tangible information before they can search personal belongings like that. Delaware's attorney general has now sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Justice asking them to investigate the stop. Kathy Jennings saying she is deeply troubled by what she saw and calling the deputies' reasoning for the search questionable at best. Late today, the president of Del State University said he spoke with the sheriff, but says the body cam footage raises more questions than it answers.
We're going to check y'all's luggage, okay?
An attorney with the ACLU of Delaware says the Fourth Amendment doesn't offer you as much protection as you might think. He says while some traffic stops do lead to legitimate arrests for serious crimes, he says people of color are often over-policed. And while he doesn't have all the details about the Delaware State case in Georgia, it's hard to know if the officers would have done such an extensive search on a bus that wasn't full of predominantly black passengers.
I don't think those officers would admit that they treated these young women any differently than they would have treated a bus full of blonde, blue-eyed Villanova students. But we know that our internal biases do come into play.
We're going to get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you. Tim Furlong, NBC 10 News.
Okay, so, man, here we go again. It's extremely frustrating because as we progress and we want to get past this, the reality is that we constantly find ourselves back again having these same conversations over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's always a bus or a group of black people that are at the center of the policing issues. And to be honest with you, if I'm being 100% keeping it a buck, really, police just out here wilding on all fronts, right? Like at this point, police are almost becoming non-discriminatory with who they fuck with. You know, they have gotten to a place where they are just literally infringing upon anybody's rights, any chance they can fucking get. And if there was ever a time where people were honestly going into policing because they wanted to make a difference in the world, and some people are like that, but a vast majority of these people just need to make $1. You know what I'm saying? And so in which case, what we have to start doing, what we have to get past is we have to get past looking at police officers as, how can I put it, these knights in shining armor and people who are here to really make a difference in the world, right? Like, and we have to start judging them as professionals, as people who have a job to do, and how are they doing said job. And whenever we get to that point, whenever we can finally convince the vast majority of people in the public to start seeing police officers as professionals and addressing their jobs in a manner of professionalism, then we can start to see real change. The real issue that we have in changing policing in America is the fact that the vast majority of police supporters see these people as see these officers as people who are willing to die to protect others. And we know that just not to be true, right? Or at least they're never really in a position to even do that 99% of the time, because we have them out on patrol doing goofy shit like this, pulling over a bus driver for making, I don't know, switching a lane without using a signal or whatever, which of course is, bad, but it's not worthy of having someone out on the road who's making $80,000 a year, who should be actually arresting violent criminals and people committing actual crimes, for trying to draw money for the state. And we at this point, we should all be well aware that police officers patrolling the streets, pulling people over for tickets and just issuing tickets is nothing but state extortion. It's really just legal extortion. That's really what it is at the end of the day. And we could get into asset forfeiture and all types of shit, but that's a conversation for another day. It is so frustrating at this point that like we are still going through this, that we're still having these conversations, and they keep doing goofy shit and keep getting away with it. The attorney general wrote in a letter talking about how like she was concerned nothing's going to happen. Y'all know this, right? Like same story over and over again. Nothing's going to happen because the people who deal with things, it's how they said that like the sheriff, who is black, said that it was okay because they smelled some shit. Oh my God, this is, what did you smell? You didn't find nothing. So what did you smell? You know what I'm saying? Okay. And in which case it should have been a simple stop. Yo, you was wilding here. I'm gonna issue you a ticket. Boom. Hey, sorry to inconvenience y'all. Unfortunately, y'all bus driver did something you weren't supposed to do. So we're going to talk to him for a second. Issue him a ticket, go on about your day, or issue him a warning. Hey man, I don't want to like ruin these girls' day and keep them here any longer. I'm sure they're ready to get home. You know what I'm saying? Just don't do that again. We're going to let y'all go. That was it. But then it turned into a full blown search where you searching through everybody's shit. And we got body cam footage of them literally saying, yo, it's a bunch of schoolgirls on there. They probably got some weed. That's none of your concern, bro, because your job is to find actual criminals. People smoking weed and people doing drugs are not criminals. You know what I'm saying? So in which case, if you were actually doing things that were relative and important, this wouldn't be a problem. But in which case we find ourselves at the exact same point where we always are, where you're going to have a bunch of people who are going to try to defend this, or most people might condemn these actions, but then they're going to start talking about all the good that police do and just try to overshadow this as just another isolated incident. That is just the baseline uniformity across the board of everything that they always say whenever situations like this happen. This is just an isolated incident. Like all cops aren't like this. Yet we see this time and time again. All cops ain't like this, but a lot of them are. And enough of them are to the point to where at some point in time, we have to start addressing it. But that's my take on it. I believe that the greatest, where we're going to make our most stride is whenever we stop calling cops bad, other people start calling cops good. We stop seeing them from a good and bad knight in shining armor versus mercenary perspective to, yo, I'm judging you on your professionalism and how I feel a cop should handle himself professionally, and you did a bad job professionally. You know what I'm saying? So in which case, this is where I stand on this. In which case, then we'll start to see real change. But as long as we keep doing this whole good and bad thing, we're never going to win in the court of public opinion. It's just not going to happen. So we might as well not even get into that. All right, let's go ahead and get into this last thing here. So in which case, let me get this pulled up here. This thing's been acting up. All right, so rapper Young Thug, this is from Fox 5 out of Atlanta. It says rapper Young Thug associates arrested for RICO Act charges in Atlanta. So it says popular in Atlanta, Young Thug was arrested in Monday in Buckhead and was among 28 people listed in an 88-page indictment filed on Sunday in Fulton County Superior Court. Man, I'm getting tongue-tied, bro. I did not know this boy had a basic ass name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams. That's like, you know what I'm saying? That's the most random thing I've seen like all week. Like I could have swore, I just knew this boy name was like Leon or like, I don't know, some country, but Jeffrey Lamar Williams, that's lit. It says, who goes by the stage name Young Thug was charged with participation in criminal street activity and conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act, RICO charge. According to the indictment outlines specific charges against Williams and his 27 associates. The court document refers to the group as the Young Slime Life YSL enterprise and stated the members conspired to associate with others for the common purposes of illegally obtaining money and property through a pattern of racketeering activity and conducting and participating in the enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this because as somebody who lived a pretty sheltered and a good life, you know what I'm saying? When I was younger, you know what I'm saying, I had a very harsh view on situations like this because I always thought to myself, yo, man, they stupid as hell for doing that shit. Like, you rich. Like, why would you even continue doing that shit? Even in general, I had a very harsh opinion on this because my thing was, yo, man, like, go to school, make some of yourself, do that shit, right? But again, I didn't have a very hard upbringing. Shout out to sociology professors. Sociology was the most important class I ever took in college because it reshaped my entire opinion of the world. It changed my entire outlook of how I see things because my sociology professor, I forgot her name, but she was super dope. She challenged us to look outside of our normal thinking and really ask questions as to why certain things are, which is all sociology is. It's about looking at data to determine trends and to see whether or not these things are because of this or these things are because of that, and actually having a worldview that is based on things that you have actually like studied and looked into, and the questions stop asking, you know, the questions as to why and how, but start asking how does this occur? You know what I'm saying? Not just asking why it occurs rather than how come people are like this, or, you know what I'm saying, why can't they do better? It's about asking the right questions versus just having your small-minded, closed view opinion of how people should be. So shout out to all sociology professors. So that class was the most important class I ever took in life because it shaped my entire world. But like I said, man, I've been sort of vocal on my other podcast, Stop the Foolishness. Shameless plug, by the way. I've been very vocal, not very vocal, but I've talked about how my upbringing was not the best, and I've never really dived into it, but I know that even with my upbringing and my childhood and not having the support that I would have wanted growing up, I know that my life was far better than the way some of these people actually grow up in life. As a Black person, you know of someone, or you know the struggles of what people have gone through. You've met somebody in your lifetime that didn't have a tenth of what you had growing up. If you lived in ultimately, if you lived in a 2-parent household, or even a single parent household where I never had to worry about where my next meal was coming from. Like, never. Did we eat filet mignon every night? No, but never once did I ever know that like I wasn't going to eat. Never once did I ever know that I wasn't going to have new school clothes. You know what I'm saying? Not once did I ever think that I wasn't going to have a roof over my head. You know what I'm saying? Not ever once did I ever think that like I would see my mom doing drugs or my dad doing drugs. You know, it's these type of things that occur in certain areas of our society that shape and mold the people into who they are. But I do have to ask, it is fascinating to me that when people make it, that they still get caught up in a lifestyle that required a certain mindset in order for them to get out of what they were trying to get out of. Because at the end of the day, that's the entire reason as to why people even start selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some people do it to be cool. Some people do it for, you know what I'm saying, whatever reasons. But 90% of the time people become strippers, hookers, you know what I'm saying, drug dealers. It's because they don't see the world in any other way other than hustling. And this is the environment that they live in. And they're trying to get out of that shit. So it's like, what exactly are the reasons as to why people do the things that they do? I've always been fascinated by that because to me, it's questionable why you would continue, why someone who's worth millions of dollars would ever be caught up in this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And like, Young Thug is like, has made it to like a level of like A-list. Like, he's not a B-list, C-list. He's not somebody still fighting to pay back record labels or to make his money on the back end. Like, he's a multi-millionaire, certified, like, you know, signing artists and shit. Like, he's that dude. He's on that type of level. It just doesn't make sense that he would ever get caught up in this. And these are just allegations, right? It still has to be proven. But when you get hit with a RICO charge and it starts to get federal, you know, it's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? state coming after you, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times you really got, you know what I'm saying? You can make a good go of it. Once the feds get involved, man, it's real tough, because like that means that they've been investigating you for a while, for a very long time, and they typically cross their T's and dot all their I's before they decide to plow down on you. So in which case, I'm just gonna finish it out there, man. You know, hopefully, you know what I'm saying, this doesn't go as bad as it's looking. But again, man, sometimes, you know, you make the bed you live in, and sometimes you got to take personal responsibility. We know that the life that some people live and the way that they go is not predetermined necessarily by the environment, but the outcome of it a lot of times can be an indicator of where they're going to go. Like what they're in right now can kind of determine where they're going, because we know that poverty and lack of education are the biggest driving factors in crime. And that's the main reason as to why people sell drugs and, you know, rob people and do all that. We know that the lowest level of people tend to commit the most crimes. So, which makes it entirely interesting that somebody who has made it is, you know, doing this. But it is what it is. With that being said, though, your boy next week is going to do my first ever interview, picking back off of this with someone who ultimately can give us a lot of insight on that. It's my boy Vince. We're going to have a long and in-depth conversation. So shout out to him. But that's it, man. That's everything that I have for y'all. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, man. Remember, always keep it 10 toes down. I'm out.